Okay, thanks for tuning back in to maple syrup making here at Jeff Outdoors. Currently in the kitchen finishing up some maple syrup. And I wanted to show you, if you hear about things foaming and bubbling over, I'll do a demonstration here. I am getting down to the wire and it's getting close to syrup. This is the point where you really have to watch what you're doing. You'll see this bubble up. Here I'm preparing my filter. This is an Orlon quart size filter with a pre-filter inside that I just clip on the side of this here. And you can see that bubbling over there. That's no joke. You do have to watch that so you don't ever want to walk away. And we'll just turn that down. We'll knock that down. And as you can see, my method here of securing my filter to my finishing pot here is not anything scientific. So we're pretty much at temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and check it. I'm going to adjust this here real quick. And we're going to take a look at the hydrometer. So you'll see that here. You get your hydrometer. You got to check the sugar content, and it has to be at the right Brix level. You want to make sure you have a pot of hot water so you can rinse off the hydrometer while you're measuring. And you'll need your cup too. So your hydrometer and cup. And you'll need something to fill the hydrometer cup with. So this is all stainless steel. And we're going to check that now. Just going to move this out of the way momentarily. And we will go ahead and check this. I'm going to fill it up about halfway. I don't think it's there yet. I can sometimes tell about how the bubbles present themselves and everything. So, okay, so I just did that, so I'm going to put that in the hot water for a moment. And we will test this. Okay. Well, we're pretty close. Pretty close. Pretty close. Okay. So now we're going to rinse that off. Just kind of remove some of that syrup. You are going to need some paper towels for this process. You want to make sure your measuring instruments are clean and dry from after each testing, so you're not adding weight to the hydrometer. So we're going to set that down for just a second. And we're also going to go ahead and rinse out the hydrometer cup. Just to flush any extra in there. So now you want to test quite often here once you get close. See, now we're still at about we're still sitting about 2. We're on the cusp of 219. The boiling point of water changes every day. So you're just going to want to check your boiling point of water. Mine's been running, for syrup I've been finishing at 220, 221 for the past 2 weeks on my boils. So that's kind of what I'm betting on right now. I did not check the boiling point of water today. I'm using my hydrometer, making sure I got the Brix sugar content that I need. And then we'll filter it off. So here we have more bubbles. Okay, it's coming up. We're going to test it again here. Once the bubbles start, you can really kind of gauge where you're at. And it will turn into syrup quite quickly. That's why you should test it quite frequently during this process. I can already tell that this is pretty much I think there. Here we have the more bubbles. Turn that pot down. Okay. Not quite. Not quite. It is on the cusp. It's on the cusp. So we'll repeat what we did there, and we will just dip that in a little bit of hot water. Okay, keep that clean because you're going to test it here in about another 30 seconds. And that's how fast you got to test these when it comes to finishing. Just have a damp cloth here, just making sure that that's cleaned off. And then we're going to clean this off again. This will be hot. So do the best you can there. Don't burn yourself. You might end up burning yourself a little bit. It's just kind of part of the whole process. You might not burn yourself, but you'll get your hand will get hot touching stuff. That's all. Alright, so we'll check that temperature again. We're sitting pretty at 219 right now. Woo! Got me again. So we'll go ahead and test that again. Excuse me. This looks pretty good right now. And you can tell after you do it so often. And maybe I can get you in on the view of this hydrometer here. So we get that settled. And it still looks a little short. Well, hold on here. Bring it up out of the light here. Some people like to go a little heavy. So all depends on what you want to do. It's just not quite there just yet. Boy, it's close. And see, you'll just want to keep on testing it as you go. Once a minute to once every 30 seconds maybe. Just test it again. So keep things clean. this is my filter pot. I don't quite need that just yet, so excuse me while I get in the camera view here. Yeah, so we're about there. Kind of mess with your heat a little bit too. Mess with the heat and just watch your bubble action inside the pot. See, here we go again. Right? Okay, so turn the heat down again. It's bubbling pretty good. It's been about, I don't know, 30 seconds. And these bubbles are staying up now, which means we might have just hit syrup. We might have just hit it. Let me see if I can get you a little bit better view. Just pardon some of this mess. Okay. A little more than halfway maybe is pretty good. It's sticky. It's syrupy already. So we'll see what this brings up. Put that in. Boy, I want to call it, but I don't think I can. This is really the most important part of sugar making, syrup making, is you got to make sure your density's right. You know, that is so close. I don't know if you can see that at all. Probably not. No. Let's see if I can get this in here. Get you better lighting. This is not a professional studio, so if you can see that, there's the red line. Okay, so I am sitting on top of that red line right now. I mean, it's so close. Like, I'm gonna probably test it again right now, and it'll probably be at the mark. That's how quick it happens. So we'll just brush that off again, wipe it down a little bit. Okay. It's a bit of a process. You do it a couple times though. It's really not that bad. It looks like a mad scientist factory, but it's really not bad. Whoop. Got a little bit extra. Yeah. I think it's gonna, I probably put too much in here. Might run over. I don't really want it to run over. Not too much. Boy, that just doesn't want to. That is so close. We'll give it another minute here. I mean, that seems like sucker. I mean, you can go a little bit heavy, right? So that's like pretty much right on the line. doing that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's right on the line, the red line. Yeah. And you can play with it a little bit. Like I said, some people like to go just a little heavy to make sure you're at that nice consistency for shelf life. So it's up to you. You can get it right on the nose, or you can go a little heavy. So what are we at? Right there. Get stickiness on there. Okay, so we're going to test it again. That's how you do it. You go back and forth until you know you got it where you need it. And then we're going to filter it. We'll do the last filtering. You do lose a little syrup in this process. Very, very little, but you do lose a little bit. Not enough that you would ever probably notice, but okay, so there we are. We're at the red line, and we're just under it. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm gonna go ahead and call that. That is pure maple syrup. And the next step will be to filter this. So we're going to do that right now while it's still hot, hot, hot. There's no scientific method here. I'm going to just take that and pour it into the filter pan here, the finishing pot pan. Got quite a bit of syrup. It came out pretty nice. This is a 20-gallon batch of sap, and should get a few pints out of this. That's what I'm expecting, at least. It smells really good, that's for sure. So that's it. That's that process that I do here. A lot of people might do a little bit different, but really you have to check your temperature and your hydrometer as you go. Gonna let this filter. Gonna bring it back up to at least 185 degrees, and then I'm just gonna put it into my mason jars with a funnel, and that's pretty much it. Maple syrup season 2021. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jeff with Jeff Outdoors. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you have questions about making maple syrup, let me know. Giddy up.